Wasn't on. I don't even know if y'all heard what I said. I said we have, in recognition of, uh, oh, I'm absent-minded. I can't think the Irish holiday, St. Patrick's Day. It's just been a hectic week and a hectic day because we moved a few things around and got rid of clutter. Well, we're trying to clutter. But anyway, let me start with our introduction. Well, welcome to Henry's Chatterbox episode. I think this is episode 20. I got it written down here. Yeah, episode 20. Today is March 13th, 2026, and it's a Friday, and this is episode 20. Henry's Chatterbox comes to you from an outside building in my yard in Newport Richey, Florida. We talk about life topics. We do not talk about politics. We're not professionals. We just try to have good, clean, wholesome chat. We discuss a specific topic every week. My name is Henry Berner, and as always, Randy's doing the technical part, and you might hear from him. Well, you're going to do the advertisement, aren't you, Randy? Yeah. When I get to it, so you'll hear from Randy shortly. Um, and we now begin with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And uh, an early happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I've got my list out here. Oh, I'm sorry. Like I say, we moved. It's been um, hectic week, and things aren't coming together. It's plan getting ready for a yard sale, trying to downsize. It's crazy. Recap from last week. We had our discussion on phobia and fear, and there is a difference between phobia and fear. We have a lot to be scared of. Everybody does. We continued our discussion about phobias. And today's time, that was last week, and nobody sent me anything on my. Today's topic is all about clutter. Before we get started on that, let's go to Randy for a bit of advertising. But let me say this. Please be aware that the advertisement you are about to hear does not necessarily express the personal views and options of the members of this show. So, Randy.
All right. So first things first is gonna be Rumble Wallet. Rumble Wallet is really a bank that is designed for the customer, by the customer, it can be used by the customers. It doesn't have to deal with anything to do with the government, although it is FDIC insured. It doesn't have to deal with anything that has to deal with anyone else, like big banks and corporations. It's your money, your right to use it as you feel, when you want to, and you can donate your favorite payers with that, your favorite content creators with from it. Our second one is Skit Trivia by Henry Berner. That's a book that is available on Amazon.com/author/Henry Berner. HenryBerner. Nation available on all places where podcasts are available.
Okay, I'm lost. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to focus today because of all that's going on. Um, Today is all about clutter. We want to talk a little bit about clutter and then how you can stop it. I imagine that everyone or most people has at one time been overwhelmed by the clutter they have. And I've heard of people just not wanting to part with anything. We used to call them pack rats. And what is a pack order, whatever you want to call it? It's when you've got all this stuff that it's disrupting your life or it's just in your way. You can't find what you're looking for because you got just boxes of stuff sitting around. And sometimes it's outdated. Let's see, yard sales. That's a way to get rid of it is yard sales. But a lot of times when you're having a yard sale and you're putting something out there and you're putting the price on it for $1, and you're thinking, my gosh, I paid $30 for that. Life. Um, I went to a yard sale once, and I've or several times this has happened. I've asked people, what is this? And I don't know what it is, but it's only a quarter if you want it. Like, well, I'm not going to buy it, and it turns into trying to figure out what is it. And I was at one yard sale, and the woman, she was having a hard time getting rid of stuff. I can't remember what it was, but I tried to buy something. And she said, well, I probably should. I'm going to keep that. And she did this with two or three items. And I could tell her husband was getting mad, like, good gosh, we got to get rid of this stuff. And I just finally laughed. I thought, you ain't gonna buy nothing here. Everything you pick up, she says, well, I don't want to get rid of that. Um, when you're, and I know this always happens, when you find something that when you're 15 of them at home, you just can't find them. Um, And a lot of people, and this is one that I think people really need to be careful of, is when you hoard cans of food. I know I've always heard that a can, it's good forever, but and I'm not an expert, need to remind you of that, but I don't think it's a good idea to have a can of anything sitting around for years and then open it and eat it, especially if it's been through temperature changes. That's just my thoughts. And a lot of times I understand if something's on sale, you buy more of it because it's on sale. But I don't know, and that's cans of food you gotta eat, so you want to have food, but if you get too much and start piling it up, I personally, that bothers me.
Well,
You
it depends
said
on the culture you're in. I mean, in some cultures, that's how you do it for the winter. You start stocking up.
right, and that's true. But then if you, I guess you want to be sure and rotate it. And Randy said depends on the culture, and that makes sense. But me personally, I like to have what I got here, but I want to use it.
Now,
I don't want to be buying food just to have it laying around.
now, in the topic of clutter, because I did say I was going to bring this up, there is a medical condition for clutter. It's associated with high intelligence and attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Now, it is called clutter syndrome, or chronic clutter syndrome. I'm going to pull it up for you and read it. Chronic clutter syndrome, otherwise known as chronic disorganization or CD, is a long-term inability to organize, discard, or manage personal belongings, leading to several congested spaces, typically associated with attention deficit hyperactive disorder and high cognitive functioning for high intelligence people. It is a therapeutic mind for a therapeutic way for their bodies to deal with everything that's going on in within their minds. About 60 to 80% of those also have independently OCD in other ways. So yes, there is a medical condition that does cause clutter, and we do have to acknowledge that because, well, I mean, we can't help a medical condition.
Right. Well, I guess you could get treatment for it. I think I used to maybe be a little bit of a
Oh, it's
pack
also
rat.
it also says that is that other people who end up with it that don't have ADHD or high intelligence end up with clutter with chronic clutter syndrome as a result of heightened stress, reduced cognitive performance like a hand injury, guilt, or reduced self-esteem. So
Well, thank you.
they do say there is help, but not for those with ADHD or high intelligence, just those that obtained it from stress, anxiety, or head injuries or low self esteem. They say those that are diagnosed with it because of other chronic diseases like ADHD and high intelligence are incapable of receiving aid or benefits in order to.
All this stuff. And I'm like, my gosh, it's driving me crazy. I've heard of people when maybe their spouse would die and friends invited them to move in with them. They said, well, I can't. I got all this stuff here. And I'm not going to let stuff control my life. I will.
I'm stealing something. I need it.
Okay, you want me to?
Yeah, can you get that? I need it.
That's the. Here you are.
We do so much clutter. We're down to one mouse for three computers.
The clutter, right? I mean, today's a bad day for us, so forgive us. Um, now I tell you, cans of food. It's scary to start just saving mountains of it. Clothes.
Now,
I got more
the cans of food and the food, like I said, some cultures do that, but some families have been doing that for generations and they'll can their own food and store it for years on end in a storeroom they have outside.
Yeah.
So there are some families that that we deem that as clutter.
Well, but if they're using it, I don't think it's clutter, is it? It's, in fact, one article I read, it said when you're sorting, that when you pick an item up, ask yourself, does this have anything to do with my future? And if the answer is no, I'm never going to need this, use it. But a lot of times we like to hold on to things, and I'll get to that in a minute. Yard sales, we're having a yard sale. Randy and I's having a yard sale here, and I hope people come and buy. I'm selling it cheap. I just want it to go away. Um, you found things you forgot you had clothes. I used to have a pair of bell bottom pants. Well, I got rid of them years ago. But a lot of people, and I've met people, old people my age, that would tell me they've still got the dress they wore to the prom or the dresses they wore when they was kids, and they keep all this stuff. That's not me. I want to get rid of stuff. I want the space. Um, I don't want to be trying to vacuum my floor and have to move a bunch of stuff around. I just want the open space. I don't want all the clutter. Clothes. And a lot of times I've heard people say, I'm holding on to that because it's out of style now, but it might come back in style. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. Dishes. I have a little interesting story about dishes. And I think I saw this on a documentary on TV that back years ago, when people come over on the Mayflower, and they was I might not have this exact, but when they were in a wagon, and going to move somewhere else, uh, their husbands would tell the wives, "Now we're going to have to leave the dishes because we got to fill the barrels up with food for the long trip, and we're just going to have to part with all those dishes." And of course, the wife would, "But I brought them over on the Mayflower. They belong to my grandmother. I gotta keep them. You can't keep them. We can't have the weight." So what the from the story I heard, what the wives would do when the husband would go out and work in the fields as he put weed in the barrels that they was taking, the wife would go out and bury the plates and dishes into the stuff, figuring when we get up there and he goes out, I'll dig them out and hide them. So and then consequently, years later, when both of them had died, the grandchildren would find these valuable plates in the kitchen. So I don't know. Is it? I'm getting it. You get it and you bring it home and put it. You push. There was a bug in front of me. You push everything on the shelf over to make room for this other piece until you put it in your yard sale 5 years later. Um, Found some food, clothes, decorative plastic bags. Now I've got that problem right now inside. I've got, when you go to the store and you buy food, they put it in a plastic bag, and I save those plastic bags. Well, right now I've got too many of them, but when I go to the store, I wad it up, and instead of throwing it away, I shove it in that box where I got the other ones. I'm having a hard time bringing myself to throwing them away. Um, Yard ornaments. Oh my gosh. Um, I don't like a bunch of yard ornaments. Maybe just one thing, if that. Um, but these people that have a bunch of yard ornaments all over their yard, they have to take them up when they mow or weed eat around them or something. I don't like my yard cluttered up. And when I'm driving down the road and I see different people's yards, the ones that don't have a bunch of clutter in it, they're more pleasing to the eye to look at. To me, they are anyway. Yard ornaments, pictures. Well, now you can, I guess there's a way you can take all your pictures and put them on a flash drive or something. But I've got a box of a lot of pictures. Some of them I look at and I'm like, who is in? It's just all these photo albums that, of course, they're not needed now. But I don't like to have a bunch of pictures. Um, Coffee cups. There was a comedian said his wife wanted a bunch of coffee cups, and he asked her why so many, and she said, "Well, if we have company, I always say I'll put on a pot of coffee." And the husband says to her, says, "Honey, I doubt we have 50 people over at the same time for coffee." But it is good to have one or two extra coffee cups. I've got a coffee cup that I use. I just like it, and that's one I use. And let's see. And I'm getting ready to have a yard yard sale, and let's see. I'm going to tell you a little story that happened to me. Uh, my mom has passed away several years ago. Anyway, she had bought me a coat, and this coat, it was a nice coat. I liked it. But after so many years, it started falling apart. It got wet and was falling apart. I would not get rid of that coat. I was just holding on to it. And friends would say, Henry, can't you afford a new coat? That thing's falling apart. Well, I read an article on that, and it says the psychology behind that. Now, this is what I heard. I don't, know, but said that the psychology behind that was that in some ways you're keeping that person alive in your mind. Anyway, long story short, I finally got rid of the coat. I said, you know, you are not a member of your purpose. And I wadded it up and threw it in the trash can and put it out by the road. And it's gone. I haven't seen it since. I cry about it every once in a while. No, I don't. I'm over it. Um, Food, hide dishes in barrel mom's coat, storage buildings. People have, and I have seen this. I'm not guilty of it, but people will take a lot of stuff. They're moving or something, and they go rent a storage in there and say it's only going to be for a couple months. Years go by, and every month they're paying. We got to get that stuff out of storage. So I think it's crazy. Okay, how do we? Let's move on. Randy, you got any more thoughts on that?
No.
Okay, then moving on to we talked about clutter. Um, but now how do we get it straightened out? And this is just my thinking. I'm not an expert. If you really have a serious problem with it, I would encourage you to go to an expert and get some help if you've got clutter that's really causing you problems. But my thinking is one, stop bringing stuff home. And I think I've kind of healed, cured myself of that. I will look at something in a store. I used to buy, I would be an impulse buyer, but not now. I look at something and I set it down, and let me set it down and I'll think about it. And I walk around in the store, and nine times out of 10, I decide not to get it. So I think that that's one thing you got to do is stop bringing stuff home. And if you do decide that you're going to get something, imagine, and now this comes from me, it's my opinion, it works for me. Think about when I get home, where am I going to put this? I mean, just imagine I'm going to pay for it. They're going to put it in a bag. I'm going to take it out to the car and put it in the car. I'm going to drive home. I'm going to get it out of the car, and then I'm going to walk in my trailer. And then what am I going to do with it? If I'm just going to set it on the kitchen table and try to find a place to put it, well, I just created a job for me. I got enough to do. So I'll convince myself, you know what? I need to just leave that right there where it's at. Save myself 50 cents or a dollar, whatever it would cost. So I think that's one thing to help you. Just stop bringing stuff in. And then the other thing is start getting rid of stuff. Maybe take one piece, look at it, and ask yourself, if I didn't have this already and I went to a yard sale and they had this there for sale for a quarter, would I buy it? And if the answer is no, I wouldn't buy it, then guess what? It's going in the get rid of pile. I think that downsize, which seems like I'm always downsizing. It's like it grows. You end up accumulating more. But the way I do it, I try to go through each item. It's either a trash, keep, or get rid of, and have three specific places. So when you pick something up, if it's just obvious trash, throw it in the trash. If it's something you definitely want to keep, put it on the keep that you don't want to keep. That way, like I said, yeah, something you don't want to keep, but there's nothing wrong with it. Put it on the get rid of pile. And I think that makes a big difference. And, you know, let's see, storage buildings, certain days. And another thing, if you want to buy something, you might say, know, it's certain days that I will do something, go to the store. Like if I'm gonna go to the thrift store and do some shopping, I'm not gonna go every day. I'd be like, I'll allow myself one item once a week or whatever. You got to make your own rules, something that's gonna work for you. Um, Storage buildings, certain day. How do I refuse a gift or re-gift something? Someone wants to give you something and it's like I don't want it. I've got enough of that. And yeah, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I don't want them giving me a bunch of stuff that I gotta take care of or deal with. I've got stuff and regifting. When you're at a party or whatever, and someone gave you a Christmas present, and you open it up, I'm not going to say, "Oh, I don't want this. I got too much clutter anyway. Here, take it away." I'm not going to do that. And I'm going, "Oh, thank you. I like it." And I'm thinking now I'm going to regift this to someone else. Whoever gave it to me, they probably regifted it to me. But that's my thinking on that. And then another thing, if somebody gives you a bunch of stuff that you don't want, maybe you should just have an open, honest chat with them and say, "Look, I appreciate everything you wanted to do, but I am really trying to downsize and I can't be bringing more stuff in." Um, the Right now my brain is cluttered up. I'm having trouble. The little man in my head's having trouble sorting through and finding what I want to say. How do I refuse a gift? I had a couch one time. This has been years ago, but I'll never forget it. And we kind of got in an argument about it. A very good friend of mine. I had a couch. Somehow I ended up with too many couches. I had two couches and only needed one, and I had it on my carport. And my friend was over, and I just casually mentioned to him, "I'm trying to get rid of that couch." He said, "Oh, Henry, I'd like to have it." I said, "Oh, you want it? Take it. You can have it." He said, "Okay, thanks." And he said, "But I can't get it right now." I said, "Okay, well, you'll be out this." He said, "Well, can I just leave it here?" I said, "Well, no." I said, "The reason I'm getting rid of it is because I want to get rid of it." "Well, what's it hurt sitting there?" I said, "It's in my way. I don't want it sitting there. That's why I'm giving it away." He said, "Fine, and I'm taking it. It's mine now. So instead of your couch sitting there, it's my couch sitting there." I said, "I want it out of here. I don't want it here." And he kind of got mad at me. And I still have that couch. No, I don't. I don't remember just how it was resolved, but our argument didn't last long. We continued to be close friends years after that. We ain't gonna let a dumb old couch mess up our friendship. Okay, getting rid of unwanted items, not needed items. Yeah, it's hard to do. Sometimes you put it out for free. I like it when someone picks it up when I put it out by the road because it makes me feel like at least I gave this cards. Oh my gosh, Christmas cards and birthday cards. People pay good money for them and they give it to you and you open it up, you read, oh, that's so cute, thank you. And it was cute. But I mean, do you save them? I don't like to save them because it's just you end up with piles of stuff everywhere. So I maybe I'm home, but I throw them away. I mean, I enjoy them for a few days, but you know, and then Christmas decorations. I don't. Before I retired, I used to say, when I retire, I'm going to really decorate good for Christmas. But after I retired, I lost interest in that. I my if I want to decorate, like if I'm having a party or something, I might get crepe paper, something that when I take it down, I throw it away. I like throwaway stuff. Um, I tablecloths. I'll maybe put appropriate tablecloths. So you can flash your room up cheap, but I'm not into storing a lot of decorations. And oh my gosh, let's see where we at. Yard ornaments. We talked about that. Pictures, coffee, high dishes and barrels, mom's coat storage. Certain days, how do I refuse? Um, do you need this item? That's something that you might want to, pick an item up. And one thing you can do is just every day pick one item up and make a decision about it. I don't need this. I don't want it. It's just in my way. On my way to work, I'm gonna throw it out the window. No, don't do that. On my way to, when I on my way to work, I'm gonna stop and donate it to the thrift store, something like that. And because you accumulated the items one at a time. It didn't happen all at once, and the next thing you know, like, oh my gosh, how did I let all this stuff get here? You go to sit down for dinner, and you have to sweep everything off the table under the floor so you can eat. I'm just acting crazy now. Um, let's see. Now I have a land. I have my cell phone. My roommate and all my friends have their own cell phones, but I also have a landline. It comes with my cable. But you go in the store, it's hard to find a regular telephone that a landline. I think they're called. Anyway, I had one of. I needed one and I wanted to get a cordless one. And I was at the gym one day talking about it, and I said, I can't find one. And there was a guy there. He said, I got one that my wife would never let me throw it away. She said, maybe someday someone will need it. And I said, oh, I'll get it. How much you want for it? He said, you can have it. I'm glad to get rid of it. So he brought it to me and he said his wife was tickled to death and shook her finger. I told you that someday someone would need that. So in that case, I'm glad she kept a hold of stuff because I still got that phone now and I've had it for about 3 years. Let's see, getting rid of wanted not online cards, extra store stuff for other people, couch to friend, landline phone. How do I stop? I just told you my way of stopping is stop bringing it in. Just put a stop to that. And then how to downsize, you got to get rid of stuff. And, I mean, that's the only way is getting rid of it. Where am I going to put it when I get home? That's what I think about it when I'm in the store buying something. I just run that through. You won't have to worry about the clutter. You anyway, and I just go through the thinking process. Okay, I get home, I pull my driveway, I take it out of the car, I go into the house. Then that's when my brain kind of clogs up. Well, what am I going to do with it when I get it in the house? Where am I going to put it? No, I can't put it there. That's full. I can't. So I stop right then and say, I ain't buying this. Um, where am I? Flashlights. I have a couple flashlights that you wind them up, and I love them because flashlights that take batteries. In fact, I read a joke once that had silly definitions, and the definition for a flashlight was a place to store dead batteries. And that is so true. you know, you never know when you're going to need a flashlight, and it's not something you think of every day. I better make sure I got batteries in the flashlight. Wait a minute. Do you recognize this item? I don't know what that is. Okay, moving on to childhood memories. I hope I'm not boring y'all. I'm boring the crap out of myself today. But let me tell you again, it's a bad day. It's been a bad week. We've done some moving around. Um, we when we were kids, my brother Daniel and Clary and I, um, and we had bicycles, and I think that we didn't have a bicycle. We had a bunch of bicycle parts and would make our own bicycle. We had to put it together. Well, my brother Daniel, and I'll never forget this, he locked his bicycle up. He said, no one will steal it. And he locked it up. I left mine unlocked. And we went somewhere. When we come back, somebody stole his bike that was locked up and didn't take mine. I don't know why, but that's what happened.
This bike was nicer.
I don't know if it was or not. I don't
That's the only
remember.
reason why I would take a blocked bike over an unlocked
But I
bike.
mean, we remembered it. We said, Daniel, someone stole your bike and it was locked up. Mine's not locked, and nobody took it. So I don't know. Um, uh, Getting toward the end here, and another childhood memory I have. I was probably a teenager. I loved horses. I wanted a horse so bad. I was horse crazy, a lot of people said. And I made me a scrapbook with horses in it. Any magazine I saw, I would look through it, and if I saw a horse in it, I cut it out and put it in my scrapbook. And I ended up with 3 or 4 scrapbooks. Well, years later, when I growed up and left home, I was home one time and I was looking for that. I looked in my old bedroom, I couldn't find it. So if y'all find it, bring it to me. I'm kidding. That scrapbook has been gone for years now. But that was, something. And I guess I was hoarding that. I was, holding on to it. Um, let's see. I guess we're ready to wrap up. Um, Thank you for watching or listening if you did. Comments about this episode and upcoming episodes are welcome and appreciated. And just go to henryburner@yahoo.com and make a remark about this or something about well, you know what? I hadn't even picked out a topic yet for the next episode, so I don't know what we're. Oh, and by the way, it's going to be 2 weeks. Next Friday, I have a friend that's got a few doctor's appointments, and I agreed to take them. So there will be no no Henry's Chatterbox next week. Stop crying. I'll be back. um, I'm sure everyone's good. I'm just acting crazy. But anyway, Henry's Chatterbox is planning to start every Friday. Randy's going to be here with Trooper, his dog, and good friend. And so be a lot of interesting discussion on that. And if you got anything interesting to say, any interesting animal or pet stories, please send them to me on my Yahoo channel or my on my Yahoo card. And Randy's not here. He usually says, "Let me see if I get it right. Don't forget." Oh, he is here.
I was in the bathroom.
Okay.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. It helps the content creator, and it also makes him feel good about himself.
You know what to do. Now do it. Do I have to push a button on? This will also in the stream of Hulk Connect.
That's what I want. Why is it not letting me do it? There we go. Sorry about that, guys. We are definitely having technical difficulties. The stupid computer isn't letting me end it.